He might used to be, but if he could make a $2 million bond, he'd be out.
A $40,000 cash withdrawal, a rapper accused of ordering a hit, and now one bold courtroom moment that has everyone talking. Yella Beezy didn't just show up for his bond hearing. He looked the judge straight in the eye and dropped a message that felt less like a plea and more like a warning. With the Mo3 murder still haunting the city and prosecutors watching his every move, Beezy's words in court weren't just shocking, they were strategic. But what really happened in that courtroom? Let's find out. Yella Beezy sends shocking message in court. Yella Beezy didn't say much, but when he did, it caught people off guard. He walked into that courtroom with a straight face, said his words, and walked right back out like it was just another day. The cameras were rolling, reporters were scribbling, but the message he dropped in court didn't match the headlines that had been circling him for days. This is the same man who had just been hit with a capital murder charge. The same man was tied to a murder-for-hire plot that left rapper Mo3 dead on a Dallas highway in broad daylight, and somehow his bond just got reduced. Let's rewind this real quick. Yella Beezy, real name Marquise DeAndre Conway, was taken into custody on March 20th, 2025. He didn't resist. Surveillance footage shows him in handcuffs, walking like it's nothing. Not a twitch, not a blink, no drama. Calm and quiet as officers lead him through the police station. That video hit the internet like wildfire. While everyone was waiting to hear what he had to say, his lawyer, Toby Shook, told TMZ he feels relieved to be released. No comment on the murder, no comment on Mo3, just a nice clean PR line. After being on every news headline all week, Beezy's relieved felt a little strange. This isn't some simple case either. Beezy was indicted by a Dallas County grand jury 2 days before the arrest, March 18th, 2025. The charge is serious. Capital murder while remuneration. In plain words, they're saying he paid someone to get Mo3 killed. The prosecutors think it wasn't random. They believe it was a hit job, a setup, and they're pointing right at Beezy. Now about that bond. The original bond was $2 million. Not cheap. At the bond hearing, his defense argued that Beezy couldn't afford it. He didn't have the money. That's when his family stepped in. One of the key voices was his grandmother, Alma Jean Alexander, and she came ready. She told the court,
He might used to be, but if he could make a $2 million bond, he'd be out.
Straight up, she didn't flinch. When asked about if he's intentionally not paying $2 million bond, she responded calmly,
I'm aware of all of those things, but I know he don't want to be in here, so I know if he could afford it, he'd be out.
That quote alone probably made the judge raise an eyebrow. But here's the twist. Prosecutors weren't buying it. They said Beezy had money, a lot of it. They brought receipts, literally. They showed bank records from 2020. He had nearly $870,000 across checking and savings. They said he drove around in a bulletproof Denali. They even pointed to a $40,000 withdrawal he made just days after Mo3 was murdered.
These records would correspond to the exact amount which the state's witness would testify to.
Prosecutor Tommy Adams said there's a witness who will testify Beezy was involved in the transaction. According to Adams, Beezy helped pay for the hit. The defense fired back hard. They said there's no solid proof, no texts, no DMs, no receipts showing Beezy paid anyone, just a single witness who overheard something, and they made sure the court knew that. You've heard no information of a text message, any communication on a social media platform that our client paid for this murder, any kind of remuneration, just this individual who stepped forward and stated he overheard this conversation, the defense said. Still, the judge gave Beezy a break. Judge Gracie Lewis agreed to drop the bond to $750,000, but not without throwing some serious shade. She said Beezy didn't take the financial report seriously, and she made that crystal clear in court. The financial report that the defendant was required to file, he didn't seem to take that very seriously at all, and that's what I'm worried about, whether or not he's taking seriously the charges against him, Judge Lewis said. Then she got even more direct. She told Beezy to back off. No threats, no slick moves, no funny business, not from him, not from his people. You are to have no contact, direct or indirect, no threatening or harassment of any victims or witnesses. If it's you or anybody on your behalf, there's going to be a problem. Do you understand that? She told him. So yeah, Beezy walked out free on bond, but the message in court wasn't about freedom. It was a warning. The judge made it clear he's being watched, and one wrong move could land him right back in that same courtroom. Only next time, the door might not open again. People online are already breaking it down. One tweet said, he a rapper, so 40K could be for anything. Their whole case appears to be based off the snitch, which may or may not be shooter. And here's the thing that had people talking online. His grandmother helped lower that bond by refusing to spill anything about his money. Her silence said more than Beezy ever did. Yella Beezy walked out with a lower bond, and Twitter went straight to work. From 2M to 750K in a week or so is pretty impressive. He might beat this case. People weren't shocked by the bond drop. They were impressed by how fast it happened. It didn't look like struggle. It looked like strategy. This man is not worried at all, and he's far from broke. He's from the cliff for real. No one believed the broken story. A bulletproof bulletproof Denali, stacks in 2020, and $1.40K withdrawal days after the murder. Yet the courtroom heard he couldn't post bond. Online, they weren't buying that. He better get out of the country. Some saw the warning signs. The case isn't over. The charges are serious. And getting a bond doesn't mean walking free forever. And Tory couldn't get a bond for a case that didn't involve someone dying. Wild. That one hit hard. It pointed to the double standard. Tory's case didn't involve death. Beezy's is about a murder for hire. Yet Beezy's bond got reduced. He get a bond, but Diddy doesn't SMA. Another shot at the system. The comparisons kept coming. One rule for one artist, another for someone else. Then came one of the most important details from the court. The judge said in the courtroom that one reason she lowered the bond is lack of evidence, so far. She warned Beezy not to try to intimidate people associated with the case. That confirmed it. The evidence isn't strong yet. No text, no money trail. Just one witness claiming to have overheard something. That's what gave Beezy a way out for now. And then Twitter dropped this. Big U paid it for him. It could be a joke, or not. Either way, once Big U's name entered the mix, people started running with it. Wild theory or not, it stirred the pot. Big U is known for pulling strings. He has real ties in the music world and in the streets. If someone like Beezy needed help, Big U is one of the few who could step in and make it happen fast. He's helped rappers before, not just with music deals, but with legal trouble too. His name carries weight. So when people saw Beezy post a $750,000 bond after claiming he couldn't afford it, the theory made sense. Beezy is from Oak Cliff. Big U respects people who come up that way. If Beezy's silence protects bigger names, that bond could have been more than just money. It could have been leverage. He walked out of court with a lower bond and barely said a word. But just days earlier, another man was running for his life on a Dallas freeway, and he never made it out. The murder of Mo3's. Right after the bond news dropped, College Kid posted something that flipped the energy. It was old footage. Yella Beezy and Mo3's in the studio. No beef, no drama. Just two Dallas rappers working together, laughing and vibing. That short moment made everything harder to read. These weren't two guys who hated each other, at least not on camera. But then came the footage that changed everything. Mo3 was on I-35 when it happened. You see him stop in the middle of traffic. Then he runs. He's weaving through cars trying to escape. A man is chasing him, holding a gun. Seconds later, Mo3 is shot and killed in broad daylight. People still ask why he stopped the car. Some said his tire got shot out. Others said he panicked after hearing shots. One post made it clear. They said dude was already shooting at him and the killers had multiple cars on the highway that day. Somebody even said they shot Mo3 tire out. Whatever the reason, it didn't feel random. The way it went down looked planned. The man who pulled the trigger, according to police, is Quan Dontrell White. He's already doing time on a federal gun charge, 9 years, but now he's also being named as Mo3's killer. White did an interview from jail, sat in his cell and told everyone he didn't do it. He said they got the wrong man. He didn't back down. He said he's innocent, but there's the phone data. It shows Beezy and White were in contact all day. The day before the murder, the day of, over and over. Cell tower data shows both of them near where Mo3 had stayed the night before. Then again, near the spot where he got killed. Now prosecutors say this wasn't street beef, it was planned. They're saying Beezy put up money, made the calls, and helped set the whole thing up. And here's the wildest part. The man who pulled the trigger, he might be the key witness. The shooter turned into the state's witness. The money, the calls, the cell tower hits, that all pointed in one direction. But then the story took a turn people didn't expect. And then came the theory about the woman. According to the Shade Room, Mo3 had just left a woman's house that morning. He noticed something wasn't right. Someone was watching him. He left the house and pulled into a gas station. The same car behind him didn't go away. That's when he knew something was coming. He got back on I-35 and tried to drive off. During the chase, he crashed. Then he ran. He didn't make it. TMZ added more detail. According to at TMZ_TV, Mo3 was desperately trying to get away from his alleged killers moments before he was fatally shot on a Dallas freeway. They followed it with another quote. After the crash, Mo3 reportedly got out of his car and ran for his life before he was tragically shot in the back of the head in broad daylight on a busy freeway. That didn't sound like random violence. That sounded like it was done on purpose. Police never named the woman Mo3 visited, but fans did the math. A lot of people online said she had ties to Beezy's camp. It was never confirmed, but it wasn't denied either. And the silence only gave people more reason to build their own story. Then Beezy finally spoke. In an interview with the Lamp Channel, he didn't say much. But what he did say was cold and calculated. Certain needs to be addressed, certain don't, he said. Stop attaching me to all that because it ain't got nothing to do with me. He didn't look angry. He looked like he had practiced the line. Shortly after, Beezy got arrested. WFAA TV dropped footage of him being taken into custody, hands cuffed behind his back, surrounded by officers. He looked around quiet, like he was just trying to read the room. People reached out to Beezy's team in the Dallas Police Department. No one said a word. The district attorney's office replied with, "We do not comment on pending cases." Now that Beezy was locked up and the video was out, people went right back to the question they started with. How did this even start? This didn't start overnight. It wasn't one diss or one post. It was a buildup. Mo3 and Beezy were both from Oak Cliff. Same streets, same same city, and in Dallas, repping Oak Cliff means something. You're either respected or tested. In 2017, comedian Roy Lee made things worse. He was close to Mo3 and wasn't afraid to talk. He called out Beezy publicly and questioned his connection to Oak Cliff. He picked his side, and it was clear he wasn't with Beezy. Then came the shots. On September 25th, 2018, Roy Lee was shot in a North Dallas parking lot. He stayed alive for a few weeks but died on October 13th. Doctors said it was a blood clot from the injury. The next day, October 14th, Beezy got hit. A drive-by, 8 shots in Louisville. He survived, but it didn't feel like a coincidence. Mo3 answered with music. In 2019, he dropped diss tracks. No hints, no metaphors. On 2/19, released on Roy Lee's birthday, Mo3 accused Beezy straight up. He blamed him for Roy Lee's death. He even said there was a bounty on Beezy's head. One tweet said it clearly. The Mo3 and Yella Beezy feud turned deadly after Beezy ducked a fade from Mo3's friend Roy Lee. Lee was later killed, which set off a chain of incidents in the city. Even Reddit started pulling pieces together. One user posted, "Yeah, ick that Mo3's head started getting big, and he was talking a lot of shit on social media. Just didn't know if it was 100% that got him killed." This wasn't just music, it was deeper. Pride, loyalty, reputation. And once it started spinning, no one hit the brakes. In 2024, Beezy showed up on Can I Vent and finally got asked the question people had been waiting on. Why didn't he ever speak on Mo3's death, before or after?
Why couldn't you ever acknowledge 3 before or after his death?
I never, like, what was the point?
Yella Beezy didn't stop at the shrug. He took it further. He claimed Mo3 was jealous and bitter about his rise. And that hit different, because now it wasn't just about songs or internet jabs. It was personal. That kind of line made it sound like there was real hate underneath all the music. And if that was true, then everything that followed, the songs, the fights, the whispers, started to make more sense. But then, Beezy tried to backpedal. Different interview, different tone. When asked if there was ever an issue between him and Mo3, Beezy responded with,
We ain't never had no problem.
You never had no problem? Okay.
that didn't match what he said before. First, it was jealousy. Now it was peace. And the mix-ups didn't end there. When the question came up about Mo3's impact after his death, Beezy actually gave him credit.
That was a big ass impact for him. Like, on the whole city. Like,
It was rare, probably the only time Beezy said something positive about Mo3 in public. But Mo3 had his own words on tape too. Right after Beezy got shot in 2018, 3 bullets while driving, Mo3 was asked about it. He didn't hold back.
Shit, I gotta stay out the way. It's real out here, shit. Getting hit up every day out here, like. It's the world.
No sympathy, no fake concern, just facts, cold ones. Then came another interview. Mo3 finally addressed all the drama, all the rumors. He said none of it was real, that it was all talk, all gossip.
I ain't got no rap beef with nobody. I ain't got no rap beef with no rapper in my city. No rap beef. And they was just, all that was just something that they heard, you know, shit. You know, they not in the streets, so, you know, their job is to report, like, the news. So, you know, they just going off what they heard, and, you know, so, like, I just cleared it up on my interview.
Then he added,
Ain't no rap beef, ain't no problem, man.
but the song said otherwise. The disses, the fights, the lawsuits, the interviews, everything pointed to real tension. All that talk about rap beef and studio diss tracks hits different when you stack it against Beezy's record. Because while the internet was busy debating jealousy and sneak disses, Beezy was stacking arrests like mixtapes. Yella Beezy's previous legal encounters. Back on February 14th, 2021, he got picked up in Dallas for unlawful possession of a firearm. It didn't last long, he was out the same day, but it was the first sign that trouble was sticking to him. Then August 11th, 2021 hit, another arrest. This time it was drug and weapon charges. The reports were thin, no details about what kind of drug or what kind of weapon, just enough to remind people he wasn't keeping things clean. But the biggest hit came in November. On November 5th, 2021, Beezy was arrested in Plano, Texas. This one hit headlines quick. He was charged with sexual assault and another weapons charge. This time, people really started watching. The story spread fast and his name didn't leave the blogs for weeks. That charge didn't stick though. It got tossed in June 2022. But like most cases in the spotlight, people remembered the arrest, not the dismissal. Then he popped up again in July 2024. This time it wasn't jail, it was court. His name showed up in a lawsuit tied to Chris Brown. 4 men filed it in Harris County. Said they were invited to a VIP event at Chris Brown's show at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth. Said it turned ugly. Claimed they got jumped by Brown's crew. And Yella Beezy, they said he helped. His lawyer pushed back hard. Told the Shade Room, Yella Beezy was not involved in any incident, did not have any contact with the plaintiffs, and does not understand why he is named party in the lawsuit or the temporary restraining order that was clearly filed before all facts were obtained and verified. Even with that statement, the track record was piling up. Guns, assaults, now murder. One case gets dropped, another one shows up. At some point, people stop looking at luck and start looking at patterns. But this didn't start with fame. To really get why Beezy ended up in this spot, spot, you have to rewind way back. Before the videos, before the fame, before the charges. Before he was Yella Beezy, he was just Marquise Conway, a kid from Oak Cliff. Life didn't hand him much. When he was 12 years old, his father was murdered, shot and killed at their home on Mother's Day. That kind of pain doesn't fade. It stays with you. As a kid, Conway was into football and basketball, wanted to make something out of it, maybe even go pro one day. But dreams don't always survive the streets. In his teen years, Conway joined the Crips, started selling drugs, not for fun, not for clout. It was survival. His way of putting food on the table when things got too real. It wasn't a rap story. It was just life. That pattern of charges, lawsuits, and street ties didn't just come out of nowhere. It's the same blueprint we've seen before, over and over. Because when you come up around gang life, especially in places like Oak Cliff, it doesn't always stay in the rear view. And Yella Beezy isn't the only one caught in that loop. He came up repping Crip. That's not something he hid. And he's not the first rapper to wear that blue flag with pride. Snoop Dogg did it. Nipsey Hussle lived it. Blueface still posts about it. Quando Rondo? He didn't just claim it. He got locked behind it. Every one of them talked about the lifestyle. Some used it as a stepping stone. Others never really made it out. Take Chef G, for example. He got famous for Brooklyn Drill, but behind the music, he was moving like a shot caller. Prosecutors said he helped fund gang hits, celebrated shootings, got caught up in a 140-count indictment. The man had hits on Billboard and still ended up behind bars. Quando Rondo, too. He was supposed to be touring. Instead, he's doing 33 months in federal prison, caught with drugs, and accused of leading gang activity tied to the Rolling 60s. That was after already dodging headlines about shootouts and bodies. And then there's Big U, not a rapper, but a name that holds weight. Longtime leader in LA's Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips. He used to speak at schools, ran youth programs, said he was turning the corner. Then came the RICO case. Feds said he wasn't just mentoring, he was running a whole operation. Fraud, extortion, murder. They called it mafia-like, a setup hiding behind community work. So when Yella Beezy's name got pulled into a capital murder case, no one was really shocked. It followed the same script. Start with struggle, get famous, try to leave the streets behind. But the streets don't always let go. The past doesn't stay quiet. That's why Beezy's legal timeline isn't just a random chain of events. The 2021 weapons charge, the drug arrest, the assault accusation that stuck in the media even after it got dismissed. Then, the Chris Brown lawsuit in 2024, where 4 men claim Beezy helped jump them backstage. Whether it holds in court or not, it all adds up. Each case becomes part of the story. It shows how fast the industry can flip. One moment you're doing numbers, next moment you're a headline. And in Beezy's case, that headline now says capital murder. That's how this cycle plays out for a lot of rappers tied to the Crips. Some made millions, some tried to give back, some tried to walk away. But the streets don't forget. The people around you don't always grow with you. And the law, it waits for the wrong move. So when people hear that Yella Beezy is facing life over a murder for hire charge, most don't ask how. They ask, who's next? Because in this world, the fall is always closer than it looks. After years of tension, arrests, and now a capital murder charge, Yella Beezy walked into court without saying a word. No apology, no breakdown, just silence. And that silence was the message. His lawyer told TMZ he felt relieved. That was it. Beezy didn't react when the judge spoke. He stood still as his bond dropped from $2 million to $750,000. His grandmother refused to speak on his finances. That silence helped set him free. No one in court argued about guilt or innocence. They argued over money. They argued about access. And somehow he walked out. No statements to the press, no post online, no emotion in the footage. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, check out the suggested content on your screen by clicking one of the cards displayed.